Well, I guess the meltdown begins, huh? Not a fun time. I don't even know where to begin, so let's just start with wishing the best to Cam Kitchens. That was pretty unfortunate to see. You know, we obviously wanted to win the game, but Miami not able to really fully celebrate at the end because of that. That really sucks. Um, really wish him the best. That's pretty rough. So hopefully he's okay. Hopefully we get some updates soon. But yeah, the meltdown begins. So there's just so much wrong this game. You can't even really take away any kind of initial positives. It's just one of those games where you know you had probably opportunities, but just decision-making, play calling, scheme, issues. And then Miami's just better than we thought. Miami's just a better team than I thought, for sure. They looked really good, especially offensively. Shannon Dawson drew it up today, man. Shannon Dawson was the man. He out-schemed our DC, DJ Durkin. We'll talk about that in a second, in a really big way. But, man, questionable play calling, issues getting the play calls in at times. Once again, I thought getting an OC, taking the playbook away from Jimbo would fix that, would help with that. Wasn't the case. Had to burn a couple timeouts to get some of those plays in. So that's still a thing. That was a thing last year. Defensive scheme, which is obviously the low light of the day, in my opinion, as far as our mistakes, the things that we did wrong. A couple big turnovers, giving up a special teams touchdown. And I don't even think the game was as close as the scoreboard indicated because they kind of gifted us two touchdowns to start this game. Giving us great field position, the ball, easy opportunity to score. But we lost, in a frustrating way, the game that I deemed the most important game on the schedule. And the reason I thought it was the most important game on the schedule was because, first of all, the meltdown. I knew that if this game was a loss coming off of 5-7, fan base, internet, that would all be just awful as it is now, and understandably so, especially after the showing. More competitive loss where there's more promising stuff, maybe it's different, but that was the absolute loss that I was fearful of. Coming out on the road, many of the same issues as before, and that stuff was all back. It was a winnable game. It was a very winnable game for the Ags. On paper, we could have made it close, but then again, we didn't. So let's talk about the defense. I don't have too much time for this reaction, unfortunately, because of the delay. I have to get out of here pretty quickly, so I'm going to go through offense and defense real quick. We can just sit here and bitch and moan the whole time, but let's just talk about some of the things. Obviously, the big thing was there was no pressure on Tyler Van Dyke this game. That was the story of their offense's success and our defense's downfall. And yes, there were other things that I believe stemmed from that, like lack of DB coverage and tackling, but I think a lot of that is mitigated by at least making Tyler Van Dyke have to run around a little bit. He's not a mobile quarterback. He's a really accurate dimer. He throws really good balls. He's a really smart player. If you give him time, despite how good your coverage is, he's gonna find open players. That's just a fact. And it seems like the game plan was just to sit back in coverage, not dial up many blitzes. And they did that the whole game, over and over. I don't know how. I'm sure all of y'all were calling to dial up the blitz, dial up something exotic, get some of the corners involved, get some of the DBs involved. But no, rushing 4, rushing 3 at times. Their O-line is good. That wasn't going to work. And about that 3-man, that 4-man rush, it looks like this defensive line, as talented and as great as it is, I'm not going to deny how good it is. It does have a glaring weakness in that it doesn't have a true high-end edge rusher. It doesn't have that one guy. That Myles Garrett. It doesn't have that kind of player. Obviously, that's a big ask to find that kind of player, but it doesn't really have anything close to that. Fadil Diggs is as close as it is, but he doesn't get that kind of consistent pressure. He's a good player, but he's not going to get that. And as talented as much as we talk up this defensive line, it does lack that. And I don't know why we didn't really get any looks at Eni White or Malik Silla this game, because I feel like Those guys do get some pressure, but we didn't see it. We didn't even really see it get attempted with those guys. And we didn't see many blitzes, but when we did blitz, it did seem to work. I obviously have to rewatch the game. This is just coming off the fly. I'm emotional. But when we blitzed, it seemed like it worked, and we just chose not to blitz. We let that pocket quarterback, who's really good at being a pocket quarterback, sit back and make plays. And then, obviously, I think the DB play was subpar, but when you don't get pressure, it takes subpar down to bad, like real bad. So tackling was bad at the DB level. Coverage was bad at times. But it all stems from that lack of pass rush, in my opinion. I have to rewatch it. But it seemed like everybody had some bad plays on defense in that DB room. It wasn't just one guy. I mean, Damani got burned. Chappelle couldn't tackle. DeBerry couldn't tackle at times. I mean, a lot of problems there. A lot of problems. And I had said coming out of that first game, we gave up a lot of short stuff to New Mexico, but we were able to tackle really well to mitigate the damage there. This isn't New Mexico. These receivers are really good. They have really good skill positions. Miami's freaking good. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're an 8-win team. Maybe they're a 10-win team. We don't know, but they looked better than you would think compared to how they were last year. I mean, how many points did we score total last year between the two of us? Under 40 something? I don't remember the score. Scored like 70 points this game combined. Different teams this year. But yeah, this D-line just seems like it's all either strong side guys, inside guys, hybrid guys, but no true edge rusher. And that, that showed. And when you don't dial up a blitz, that really shows. Now, a couple positives. I guess I'll throw them out there. We'll talk about positives, I guess. Should I? I feel like the run stop was better, especially considering it was such a glaring issue last year. The interior D linemen look really good at stopping the run, occupying offensive linemen. And they were good at that. And the linebackers were great at fitting the gap tonight. Torrin York looked really good, although I thought I saw him limping around out there. Y'all tell me. I don't know. Did y'all notice that? I thought Torrin was nicked up at the end of the game. Still played through it. Cooper looked good in stopping the run. I think everybody was deficient in stopping the pass. But yeah, that was the positive. Better at stopping the run. Offensively, I thought Connor was fine. He had to settle into the game, got better in the second half, but obviously they were backing off, doing some sagging coverage later in the game. He was able to find some receivers. But the game plan, I mean, it worked. It was obviously a run-heavy, 2 tight end game plan. Get Amari Daniels involved. And it worked. It was getting you 4 or 5 yards per carry. But it was surprising, right? I mean, coming out of... Well, first of all, not even taking New Mexico into account, you would think coming into this season that this offense wants to air it out, get their receivers out there, get them involved, throw up some jump balls to your 6'6" guy. I don't think he got a reception until the second half, Noah Thomas. Just, they weren't really taking chances down the field, which was surprising. There were some issues slipping on the floor, on the ground, because it had rained earlier. We had these issues. They did not. Is that an equipment problem? I don't know, but it resulted in an interception where Aniyah Smith slipped on a cut. It would have been a great ball, but, yeah. It was an issue. So I wasn't crazy about the game plan, even though it worked, but they didn't mix it up enough, in my opinion. I have to rewatch it, but it didn't feel like they didn't get the receivers involved. Didn't see Moose out there. They weren't targeting Aniyah. Aniyah needs to touch the ball way more than he does. I don't know why he doesn't. We liked Amari. Amari was fine. But you got to get these crazy, surefire playmakers involved. I think the tight ends, talking positive, looked better today. We played them a lot. They got a good sample size. They got a good serving. They blocked a little better. Max Wright getting involved in the receiving game. Jake Johnson catching that crazy tip ball. But, yeah, man. That was not the game plan I would have thought we would have drawn up. But really, I mean, did the team look ready to y'all coming out of the gates? It looked a little sluggish, and I get there was a delay. And obviously, I'm going to nitpick because we lost and it feels bad. But, yes. Yes, corner blitzes did affect it. And they were blitzing. They were daring Connor to make a decision under duress. He didn't have time to get the ball deep. I get that. They were giving him some good looks, which I wish that we would have tried to do more against them. It's a really good point, Cody. Swift, you're actually right. Y'all gifted us a couple touchdowns early, though I think we could have made it closer than that score you threw down right there. Y'all still should have won the game without that. I mean, yeah, for sure. It's just hard to slice up a way Ags could have won this game the way they came out, the game plan, especially that defensive game plan, man. That's what's going to sting. So moving forward, obviously I'm going to look at the video. I'm going to rewatch the game. We're going to go back through and look through this thing. Going forward, how do you feel about the Auburn game now? I mean, after losing to Miami, and Miami's good, but it doesn't get easier than that. I mean, it's going to get harder. Miami's good, but I don't think we were really that close to winning. Right? I mean, were we? I don't think we were. Although there were opportunities, we didn't capitalize on any of them. We were gifted some scores. So, yeah. How does it feel going against Arkansas, Alabama at home? How much can they improve from that showing to the next? You can't blame youth anymore. Can't blame lack of experience. They didn't need a home field advantage to beat us. It was loud for what it was. I'll give them that. It wasn't full, but it was loud. The Canes fans that were there truly deserve a gold medal because they made it pretty dang loud for that 48,000 crowd. I think that was the number that came out. Yeah, they were loud. You got to give it to them. So yeah, I mean, this was such a big game. You win it, you feel good. You feel like you can start the season 5-0. We're really glad we get another G5 school next week in Monroe to get things, back on the same page, hopefully. But man, it's a lot of the same stuff from last year, man. A lot of the same stuff. O-line did look better. Did y'all think it looked better? I think it looked more. It wasn't great, but it wasn't disastrous. Did y'all think the O-line looked a little better? I thought it looked passable compared to last year. Not the leap we would have wished, but passable. Hopefully can build on it. But yeah, man, I don't know how I feel going forward now. I don't know how I feel going forward. That was the big thing about this game. It's your measuring stick. It tells you what you are. It sets the tone for the year. You have everything's still on the table, but everything was still on the table after App State last year, right? Not comparing the games, just saying. Yeah, man, I mean, what do y'all think? Do we beat Auburn? Do we beat Arkansas? I mean, are we... Put in the chat, are we 2-0 in that game? Are we 1-1 in those two games? Or are we 0-2? Because right now it feels like 1-1. I feel 1-1 with those two coming up. Supreme Girth says we go 2-0 in those. Maybe. Maybe. This team has the talent. That's never been the issue. Maybe it was experience. It's not talent. Okay, 2-0. So we're saying Miami's a pretty good team. We're going to get better. Those games, one's at home, one's neutral. Yeah. It was weird we didn't see Le'Veon Moss. I feel like he showed enough last year to be given a look in a big game, but I don't know what happened at fall camp. I don't know what's going on there. Arkansas's had our number, but we somehow usually find a way to win. They looked a little shaky today. I didn't watch it closely. Obviously, we looked more than shaky. We got our asses kicked. We really did. But yeah, guys, the outlook looks a lot different. This was the game that was going to change, that was going to set the tone on the year, man. That's what I've been saying. That's what I was calling this game, the tone setter. Now, I hope the meltdown that we're having as fans, which we deserve to have as fans, I hope that's not happening in the locker room. I hope we're not, divided in there. I hope we're not turning on the coaching staff. That's my biggest fear about this. That was always my biggest fear about this. I really hope that's not the case. I really hope they respond. That's everything. So yeah, 10-2, that was my prediction. That doesn't feel very likely anymore. I think the outlook has changed, unfortunately, after knowing this is the performance versus a good team. Miami's O-line looked really good, I thought. And I knew they were going to look good. I didn't think they were going to be that consistent, though. They held up the whole game against our four-man rush. And, of course, we didn't make it that tricky for them. But man-to-man, going up against our talented big boys, they had no issues, I didn't think. I don't know, man. I didn't like the body language. I didn't like a lot of it. And obviously the rain delay doesn't help. But it's such a big game to not be up for and not be jumping around. It just doesn't feel like there's like this... I mean, I'm not big on like raw stuff or like the huddle jumping around or like the big strength and conditioning guy getting the team worked up. But we don't see a lot of that with this program under Jimbo, do we? We don't see a lot of that pregame hype unity stuff. And I think on the road, that's something that really helps the team come together, get locked in to start the game. Even though it was a good start. We're going to see a lot of Mike Elko requests. And here's the thing, Mike Elko is too good to be a DC now. That guy's a head coach at a major program very soon. And he's going to do a lot of good things with Duke, I think, before he's gone. But yeah, man. Throw in any more questions you have. I have to get out of here in about 3 to 5 minutes or so. Man, it just feels... This is how I thought it would feel if we lost this game. This is worse because we played so bad. I mean, honestly. Are y'all looking forward to watching any Jimbo pressers? Y'all looking forward to it? Execution. What else is he going to say? Some cliches. We didn't get the inches, which is true. I forgot to bring up the fact that Evan Stewart left 8 points on the board by not diving for first downs and trying to get a little cute with it, dancing around. I really hated that from Evan. I know he has all the talent in the world, and he knows that, and his instincts are to make the play, but sometimes you got to take what's given. And I tweeted, I joked, Jimbo throws a lot of cliches, but he's right that this is a game of inches. I mean, that's 8 points right there, which kind of changes the trajectory of the game quite a bit if you convert on those 2 first downs, because he was about inches away from the first down line both times. We do, man, and we do overthink it on those 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s. And it seems like the running back overthinks it instead of taking the gap that's there. Felt like a lot of bouncing, a lot of not following the blocks, a lot of not just laying on those big offensive linemen and just letting them carry you forward. I would have liked to have seen that. And I really liked it when the offense got, as usual, I feel like I've said this after at least 4 wins, or 4 losses in the last 2 years, at least, that when we were behind and we started playing catch-up, hurry up, airing it out, the offense looks better when you're not thinking and you're moving and you're just throwing the ball deep. And, of course, like I said, they're backing off a little bit later in the game, but the offense just feels more secure. There was more protection, obviously less blitzing at that point. But it just feels like that's what the offense was suited better to do. Interesting game plan going for that power run. What surprised me about Miami? Just the sheer speed, the sheer athleticism of your playmakers. That was staggering. I mean, I would say some of those receivers are faster than most of our DBs. I don't think we have any like speedsters or like athletic freaks at corner. Maybe Javen Thomas, but he's still working his way into it. He's a true freshman. He got burned when he played, and he didn't play the rest of the game. We saw a lot of Jacoby Matthews this game. Damani got burned again. It's weird about Damani, man. Such high hopes as a true freshman to just kind of not really take that leap ever. And Damani seems to be the guy that takes the eye candy, you know, gets faked out pretty easily, takes deception and overreacts to things and gets burned. Yep, that Aniyah Smith slip was a big deal. Very major swing. That was a great tackle on that. I think it was a 3rd and 1 where Amari bounced it out. Another one of those situations where they're bouncing and they should just be following their blockers, just laying on those big guys in the 3rd and 1 situations. And that, I don't know who hit him, but just an absolute perfect tackle, helmet on the ball goes flying, turnover, they're in the red zone. Yep, the equipment. There must have been something with the equipment because they weren't slipping around, but we were. Wegman had a lot of trouble planting his feet for his throws. He slipped many, many times. Yes. Yes, George. So many slips on the passing. I didn't see the... I know a couple of y'all are saying the O-line looked terrible. On my first watch, I don't get that feeling. I don't think they were great. I didn't think they were the reason we lost, but I'm going to take another look at it, and I'll let you know on Monday. Or actually, I'm going to try to release this video tomorrow night because I want to look at it already, and I want to get it done faster for y'all. And hopefully y'all can see my full reaction tomorrow night. Yep, we were winning the special teams, and that 98-yarder totally balanced it out. Was 12 held on that kick return? Yeah, that's how I felt. Some of y'all are saying it was the blitz more so than the O-line. I agree with that. They were really dialing it up from the outside. Running backs weren't getting it. And running backs were pretty good picking up the blitz versus New Mexico, besides Ruben Owens on those couple of holding calls. Yeah. I coming out of it, first watch, with emotion, defense. The scheme was our biggest downfall, self-inflicted downfall. Obviously, Miami was really good this game. Peyton Manning back there, someone said that. Yeah, he looked like it. I think the defensive scheme was my coming out of it, my clear #1 downfall, my #1 issue. Yeah, 12 was held, and he was in position to make that play. That was his lane, his alley. Just jailbreak through. Randy Bond got destroyed on that play. Was it Restrepo that hit him? It was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do. Yeah, man. A lot of things to clean up, but, you know, do y'all think they pulled the trigger on Durkin or anything like that? Honestly, I feel like the offense still has potential to be a pretty good offense. I mean, a really good offense. I don't leave this game thinking that this offense is in a bad position. But I do leave this game really worried about the defense, obviously. I mean, is there any chance Durkin gets moved from mid-season? Yeah, 12 was held. There's missed calls on both sides of every game. That's true. Durkin was our biggest weakness. Yeah. Yep, that's what it felt like. I mean, the DBs did not play a good game, but they would have been a lot better if they had a pass rush or some kind of cool blitz. Any kind of cool blitzing. Well, guys, yeah, some misdirections would have been nice. A lot of just power runs. A lot of running backs thinking it's time to bounce when it wasn't. I haven't said much about the full tenure of Durkin, but because it's only been a year and 2 games, but it was in his second year at Ole Miss where he was able to really find out what he was doing with his defense, and that clearly has not been established here at A&M yet. So yeah, the season's not over, that's correct. Everything's still ahead of us. We still have everything on the table, but everything just feels more bitter now. Everything feels like it's going to be desperation mode. It feels like we're going to be in a lot of grinders of games. We're going to need some heart medication. Yep, we definitely need an elite pass rusher. I talked about that at the beginning of this. Yep, corner blitz needed to get picked up. It wasn't. And sometimes I did notice on my first viewing Connor missing some checkdowns. It felt like there was some crossing routes, some stuff in the flats that he missed. His timing was off on that Evan Stewart play where he didn't go get the first down in the red zone. But yeah, guys, I'm going to have to get out of here because the game started late. I got a place I got to go to. But thank you guys very much for being here. I'm going to try to get a video out tomorrow night after I rewatch the game tomorrow morning. I'm going to do it so you don't have to, even though I know you freaks are going to do it. Y'all love Aggie football just like I do. Thanks, guys. Gig 'em.